What's going on, Mullen fam? It's your boy Finesse Monster, Activist Bull, and we back with another video. By the name of this title, I know y'all wondering where this 81% is pertaining to when it comes to Mullen Automotive stock. So stick around so we can get right into the details. I'm going to be putting a lot of numbers up on the screen for you to follow along with me. So if you're new, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe so you get more content coming from me, and let's get into it. All right, so here's the thing. On December 1st, my brokerage app, Webull, updated the amount of percentage that retail investors own of Mullen Automotive stock. And on December 1st, it has it at 80.99% retail ownership, or 81%. And I started to question, is this even right? It made me want to start doing a little digging, doing a little bit of math to try to figure out if this is legit or not. Because the last time this was updated was, I believe, back in June, and retail only had 51% ownership. So previously, the outstanding shares was around 500 million for Mullen, and we also know that that number has changed. It is now 1.66 billion outstanding shares, but we're going to crunch some numbers for both of those. So when Mullen Automotive had outstanding shares of 500 million, 51% retail ownership accounts for 261,343,095 shares. The insiders percentage was 32.33%, which amounts to 164,634,605 shares. And then finally, institutions would be 16.36%, which is 83,316,781 shares. And lo and behold, all of these percentage of ownership amounts to 509,294,481 shares. Now let's get to the 81% retail ownership, the topic for this video. So if retail owns 81% of the 1.66 billion shares outstanding, that will put retail at owning 1.3 billion shares roughly. And also with 81% retail ownership, that puts insiders at a small portion of 8.58%, which is 142,428,000 shares. Institutions at only 5.07%, which is 84,162,000 shares. And even still, with all those numbers, that still leaves about 6% of the 1.66 billion shares just, I don't know, unaccounted for. I don't know where it's at, where it's going. If you know, make sure you leave a comment down in the section below. 6% would be about 99,600,000 shares. Another important thing to pay attention to is the short interest percentage for Mullen Automotive. Last updated that I saw was 12.75% short interest on Mullen Automotive, which is around 211 million shares of short interest. And if you look at the difference between the 1.66 billion outstanding shares and the free float 1.44 billion shares, that would be just over 200 million shares right there. The outstanding shares account for all the shares held by its shareholders, which would be retail, insiders, and institutions. And the free float is just all the shares that are readily available for trading. So we got some things to think about, Mullinaires, when it comes to this 81% retail ownership. That is a big jump from 51% last reported. And is this the reason why the CEO wants to increase the amount of outstanding shares to 5 billion coming up on this shareholder meeting for retail investors to vote on? We know that the CEO wants total control over his company, and he also wants to have majority shares, be the most held shareholder of his company. But with 81% retail ownership, which is 1.3 billion out of the 1.66 billion outstanding shares, retail is definitely owning this stock right now. And it's starting to make sense with the amount of retail ownership reported just recently. because you can see that there's been a lot of naked shorting going on. Shorts are playing with fire right now, with minimum short shares available to borrow, resorting to throwing a lot of Mullen Automotive's retail buying pressure off exchange into the dark pool, and using these naked shorting tactics that is illegal anyway, by the way, just for them to drive the price down and try to force Mullen Automotive to go into calling a reverse split sooner than they need to. Also, here's a bonus fact for David Misery. He hasn't sold any shares since September 22nd, which he sold 750,000 shares at 40 cents per share. You can see that the other negatives on his reporting did not have a share value on it. It's zeroed out. Did not have a share value where it was sold. These shares were gifted and or transferred to another executive or member, whatever you want to call them, but they were definitely not sold. And that's what these shills and bots are out here saying, is that CEO continues to sell shares, which he hasn't since September. So let me know what you guys think about retail owning 81% of the company's stock, and what does that possibly mean moving forward, going into the end of this year, shareholder meeting. What does it mean for the short sellers and all their desperate tactics to get you out of your position to sell? I hope y'all find this information valuable. Share this with somebody else. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay charged up out there. Don't feed the fear, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm gone.
Go. Blessed in abundance. Look who raised from the dungeon. Still come through in the clutch. I'm that dime in a dozen. Pulling up clean to the function. Niggas mislead with assumptions. Gotta stay clean from the grudge.